And welcome back, dear YouTube viewers. I'm Xnick, and once again we are visiting the lost tribes of Magic Duels. And today is the Giants deck. So, to begin with, we're going to show you the small cards in the deck. Stoneforge Masterwork, the only true synergy in a deck like this. Well, not too exciting, but it is what it is. Then Renegade maps, because we had to go 4 colors in the deck and we need to color fix our base. Trail of Ambition, well, technically not a giant card, but the giant deck is a bit weak and we need some help here. So Trail of Ambition is going to combine nicely with a few of our cartouche that we are going to see. Giant Spectacle, it's an enchantment that gives the enchanted creature +2/+1 and has menace. Then Haunted Clock, one of my favorite equipments, giving vigilance, trample and haste to our creatures. Haste is the most relevant thing of all of those. But in our deck, trample also is nice. Then Cartouche of Ambition, 3 mana for giving a creature +1/+1 and lifelink, and when the cartouche enters the battlefield we get to place a negative counter on something. And also it's going to bounce back our Trial of Ambition. Then Elemental Bond to help us drawing more cards if we play large creatures, which is what we want to do here. And the other cartouche that we are running here is the Cartouche of Strength, 3 mana, giving +1/+1, and Trample, which is very relevant for us in the Giants deck because our creatures are going to be large and we want to get through. We are typically not going to have too many of our creatures, and also we get to make our enchanted creature fight when the cartouche enters the battlefield, which is pretty awesome. A Couple of Heavens, which is an instant that by paying X and a green get to deal X damage to each creature with flame. So it's a board clear for flyers only, and also it has Aftermath. From the graveyard we get Earth. Paying 2 reds and X, we get to deal X damage to every creature without flying. A pretty flexible card, and in our deck that is struggles against flyers is going to be awesome. Appetite Foundry Unnatural, well, just in case we need to deal with some problematic artifact or enchantment. Also, this one is an instant that gives us 2 life, also is cool. Not sure if this will count as a giant card, but if we squint our eyes, maybe. Nissa's Pilgrimage, just for the sake of mana ramping. And our first giant, the Erebos Titan, 3 black and 1 generic mana for a 5/5 creature, which has a lot of text, a wall of text. So as long as we have only this creature in play and the opponent has nothing, then Erebos Titan is indestructible. And whenever a creature card leaves an opponent's graveyard, you may discard a card, and if you do, return Erebos Titan from your graveyard to your hand. A very complex mechanic that dates back to Origins, and the idea here is to zombify the creatures from the opponent's graveyard. But anyways, it's a nice card here. Of course, it's pretty difficult to cast with triple black in the mana cost, so if we are lucky, we get to play it. Then more mana fixing and a bit of ramping thanks to the hands of the Explosive Vegetation, searching for up to 2 basic lands from the library. Nightfire Giant, another black giant for 5 mana. It gains +1/+1 as long as we control a mountain, so instead of its basic 4/3 we get a 5/4. And also we can activate this ability by paying 4 and a red to deal 2 damage to a target creature or player, which actually is our removal in the deck, so be it. Then for 2 red and 3 generic we get a 4/4 Shatter Skull Recruit. I don't like this card, I think it's overpriced. The 4/4 stats is not enough. Of course it has menace, but double red means this guy is very hard to cast normally. And also I believe that the mana cost is taking the ally stat into account, but Even then, I don't think it's decent. I haven't seen this card played ever. Then Wayward Giant, a 5 mana. Look, compare these two. This is a 4/5 with menace. It's easier to cast, requiring 4 generic and a red. This is a 4/4, so just by comparing the stats, the Wayward Giant is better. The only benefit from the Shatter Skull Recruit would be the ally tag here. Maybe Warrior, but hardly doubt. Then Outlaw Colossus, the strongest of all the giants, as you should say. It's 2 green and 3, maybe you know this guy from Origins. Renown 6, meaning that when this deals damage to a player, it's going to gain 6 +1/+1 counters. And the Outland Colossus can be blocked by more than 1 creature. If we give this guy Menace, it is unblockable. Then Enraged Giant. This is a 6 mana 4/4, but it has Improvise, Trample and Haste, which I think the price is quite right, even if he didn't have Improvise. And we run a few artifacts in the deck, so we may be casting this for less than the total mana cost. Then it's a renewal, more ramping, and the life gain for sure, that because our deck is pretty slow and we are going to love having the life back. Rishkar's Expertise. Draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. We can go overboard if we are not careful with this. You may cast a card with converted mana cost 5 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. By the time we get to play this, we are probably going to be overflowing with mana, so hopefully we don't have to discard too much things if we overdraw. Then we have, finally, I think this could arguably be the best of all the giants. In terms of the effects, the only thing is it's a 7 mana giant, but when the Boneweaver Giant enters the battlefield, you may search for your graveyard, hand and or library for an aura card and put it onto the battlefield already attached to the Boneweaver Giant, which is a very strong effect if you are running the proper auras. So for the sake of the monk, we are running the cartouche in this version of the deck. And finally, Mouth. Well, this is going to give us a 3/3 hippo creature. Well, I'm going to count that as a giant horse. Yeah, not sure. Well, okay, it's a big guy. It's an honorable giant. And the important side is feed from the graveyard. We get to draw a card for each creature we control with power 3 or greater. Mana base, lots of basics since we are running lots of fetching, a couple of dual lands and 4 copies of Evolving Vines. Pretty simple deck. Let's see how it performs. And we are going to be looking at the very first game of the deck against a human opponent. I've been testing it against the AI. I'm not really impressed by the deck. Sometimes it goes really well, but most of the time it becomes very difficult to assemble our pieces before the dying. So let's see, we are start with 2 lands only, and we can play anything here. We need to draw a new hand. We are going to be on the draw, and since we have the Renegade map, I think we can keep this one. So maybe turn 1 Renegade map, turn 2 Evolving Wilds, which means Nissa's Pilgrimage comes online on turn 3. Perhaps we even get to see the Erebos' Titan today. Let's go with Forest, which is certainly one of the first thing we want to play here to make sure we get Nissa's Pilgrimage. Also, I believe, I don't know how much can influence the play, but if the opponent realizes that we are in 4 colors, his gameplay can vary quite a lot. He's going for the Exert. If we can get the mana for Earth in the future, I think it's going to flip the board, but for the time being we just need to make sure we keep getting our lands. So we could get to the Titan here. as long as we get through all swamps. Yeah, let's hopefully. Anyways, it's going to. We have to wait to turn 4 to play the Titan here. Let's see if we don't get crushed by the opponent in the meantime. Alright, I'll negate Willsmith. I don't expect the opponent having too many flyers in such a deck. Of course, we might be seeing some flying vehicle. Should I keep the Heaven in case of the opponent having a Smuggler's Copter on something like that? I could cast Heaven for x equals 0, meaning that we have this in the graveyard, but we are not going to have double red, so perhaps I should just keep it, but we get the swamp here to prepare our turn 4 for the Titan. Well, I don't know if we are going to see Titan, Eraboso's Titan on 4. Unfortunately, because we need to open the Evolving Wilds. Yeah, I think I could have done better, perhaps. We were giant. Well, if I drop the mountain now, well, it doesn't change much. So I guess, of course, it could change the information we are giving to the opponent. But still, I think we are going to hide the red mana. No rush. Now the opponent is going to know that we are holding one forest in hand. Next turn we were giant, and perhaps we can recover life with the Cartouche of Ambition, provided of course the opponent does not kill our giant before attacking. And well, by the looks of it, we are going to have a nice alright, we need 2 mountains out as soon as possible. But so next turn opponent hits us very hard and we can't do much about it. So anyways, let's drop the giant here. Two, 5, 10. The opponent has 10 on the board. Ouch. That's too much. He can exert this, so it's 11. Well, that's 1 flyer. Inferno Fist on this. So we are dead if the opponent exerts. So giants had failed us. Even if I had the Heaven on the graveyard, Thalia would prevent me from fetching the mountain in time, so there was no saving here. It wasn't possible, and the opponent can even sacrifice the Inferno Fist, so he has 2 additional points of damage here. Yeah, we are so dead. Well, don't worry, the opponent. Don't worry, guys, we're going to do better next time. This is the game number 4 of the deck. Previously, we have a win based on the opponent being mana screwed, and we had a loss based on ourselves being mana flooded. Let's see if we can show you guys. For all my viewers, I want to show you a decent game. We don't need to win the games, we just want to have some fun, play the cards. Yeah, that's one of the things I don't like about the rules of Magic the Gathering, because The land, sometimes the land rules cause the games to flow pretty poorly. Here, for instance, the opponent started with a 5 cards hand, which is not looking well for him at all. Here we have our 3 main colors to begin with, and the Trial of Ambition. And down the road we are going to be playing the Nightfire Giant, which is great. So we're going to remove this right away. Of course, the trials, you want to have them out as soon as possible before you play your cartouches. Cartouche, Swamp, go out. Trial of Ambition takes care of the militia captain. But in a 100 cards deck, I do believe that the opponent is going to be able to bring back the creatures from the graveyard. Now let's hope that it takes him a while to do so. Our deck is not really very good, so we might easily lose against, even if the opponent plays inconsistent 100 cards deck. Dropping the Evolving Wilds here. I was a bit cautious because Thalia might happen, and if the opponent has Thalia, the Cinderglade enters tapped. But the same goes for the Evolving Wilds. So here we are going to, well, let's fetch the white just in case we manage to drop the Bone Weaver Giant. Okay, Cinderglade. Pass the turn. The opponent has 3 mana available. Let's see what he has. Now, the only thing here is that probably the opponent is going to be able to kill our creature, but he missed on 1 land there, so perhaps we can resolve our giant. There we go, a 5/4, our first giant to swing today. And now the giant can take care, this is very strong because he can take care of the small creatures that the opponent probably has in the deck, like for instance, yeah, the opponent just left. Let's see how much time does it take us for us to finish off the opponent. Oh, that's sweet. Get the lands flowing. So we already have all the black needed in case of the Erebos' Titan. Swing for 5. Swing for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, 4 turn clock, but we're going to speed up the process with these 2. Now we are going to also bounce back the Trial of Ambition once we enchant the Boomweaver with some cartouche. There we have Lifecrafter's Bestiary doing nothing for the opponent. And we are going to bring up Forest maybe. Now we drew the cartouche of Ambition. Well, so which means I could play the cartouche on you, which is another way to go. No negative counters. Bounce back the trial. Now play Bookweaver. Yes, we are going to do double cartouche, or maybe we play the, yeah, let's go with the Giant Spectacle. Anyways, we keep one of the cartouche in the library, well, 2 of them actually, and We gain life and we are about to kill the AI. But now the AI can scry. Anointed priest. Too little, too late. We have trial of vision and even heaven and earth. Not amusing game, sorry guys. And the Outlaw Colossus. Well, that's it. Let's go to our next game already. Wait. I spoke too soon because the opponent runs Fog in a 100 deck with tokens. He had Fog. Well, it's going to take us a little bit longer than I first expected. Come on, AI, do your things. You have blue, and you are going to call the Great Watch. Yeah, Planeswalker deck with tokens. For some reason, I don't think that's a good way to go. But now the opponent is tapped down, no Fog, and now we go to our next game. This is game number 5 of the deck, and with this deck it's not easy to find a decent match to show you guys. Lands are problematic. We are finding opponents which are running very strange looking decks which do not work. Do we keep this hand? We don't have a creature here, but the presence of the elemental bond is pretty appealing. It's a bit risky hand, but we have 2 of our main colors and we have our planes to splash. I don't know. Not sure about the hand. I might regret this, but at the very least we get to play Bond, the elemental bond. My secondary monitor is acting weird. You cannot see that, but it's turning on and off by itself. And it's pretty unnerving. Okay, let's focus on the game. Turn 2, we have nothing to play but the Stoneforge Masterwork. I like it because it's the point of the Lost Tribe decks to showcase this one card. So our best draw from the top maybe is the Hippopotamus or another swamp and then the Erebos' Titan. Anyways, if we find another land, we have a turn for Explosive Vegetation. The opponent with white and black, and probably we are going to be looking at some vampires with this avatar. We found red and we have white. Let's play red and the elemental bond. This is a very greedy card, but when it triggers, it pays off like crazy. This is a very hard to use the elemental bond, but I like it when it works. By the way, we can use this card, for instance, to mill the opponent in a single turn. If you want, you can check one of those one-turn mill videos that I made, the recipes. And there are many ways that you can do that, but mostly by combining this with the Sphinx's Tutelage. Very cool thing to watch. Why are you here? We don't have your mana. We don't have the mana that you would like. Let's give the guy the mana he deserves. And just in case, we are going to be needing another green because the Outland Colossus asks for double green, and if we get another red, we have the colors for all our cards. We are not going to be able to do the Titan plus the cartouche at the same time. Well, Kalitas, I don't like it. But we are going to have the Boneweaver Giant next. That's something. So we are going to be able to draw. Maybe we draw a land. And we even get to play Giant Spectacle. Alright, another Boneweaver, that's very cool. So let's equip this instead of dropping the Giant Spectacle. Well, let's hope the opponent is not able to kill the Titan right now, because that gives the opponent a 2/2 token and exiles our Titan. Well, Faith Unbroken is not killing but exiling the Erebos' Titan. Oh boy! The Cartouche of Strength. How can we do that? We are not going to be able to kill the guy. And we don't even have the mana. What am I doing here? Give me some more mana. Give me lands. Confirm. Drop this. This is not looking great. On the bright side, the opponent is not going to be willing to swing with Kalitas alone against our Boneweaver Giant. But he already has 6 mana. He's keeping up the pace because we couldn't have that many ourselves. Another 5 damage swing. He deals 5 to us, gains 5 life, and he also runs a Blood Cursed Knight to keep in languished and making on the Elemental Bond, which is really a pity, but is an languished making that doesn't go against our giants. So let's do this cartouche to shrink that Kalitas already. Now Kalitas becomes a 4/5, but he can activate this ability to grow larger. I don't know if we are going to be able to kill Kalitas, but at the least we get to block here. I don't expect the opponent swinging here unless he has a removal. Oh, he can swing with the Rogue's Passage. Oh no! The Blood Mist! It gives double strike to one of these. Oh no. But he cannot play the Blood Mist. Yeah, the opponent tapped down. That's great. The problem is what to block here. I'm going to let the opponent swing actually. He's going to deal 8 damage to us. Skip the blocking. We don't want our Boneweaver Giant dying, because this is our only hope to survive here, is to deal damage here and having the lifelink. Now I'm very glad the opponent having tapped down. This goes. So if we could have some spare mana, maybe we could give some of our guys some haste, but here cartouche of strength, fight against Kalitas, release our Erebos' Titan. Swing with this to gain more life. But even then, the opponent, by the combination of Rogue's Passage, we are still dead. But okay, I think this was a cool game regardless. We got a bit slow. Our deck is too slow. The giants are too slow. Okay, this is going to deal 8 damage to us. If we had found the appetite for the unnatural, perhaps we could have done things differently. But also this is the most expensive of our giants. Well, very well done, opponent, and I love the game. I don't mind having lost this time. Well, this should be about the game number 8, perhaps. Maybe I lost the track. Many of the games are not having too amusing to watch. Let's see if we have a find something that we can deem worthy. No, this is not what we need. So the key for the deck, of course, is having a proper opening hand, and I'm very scared of going lower than this. So we have the explosive vegetation, we have only 2 lands in hand, we have to trust it to finding the good things that can allow us to drop all of this stuff as soon as possible. We have Trial of Ambition for protection for a little bit at the least. Continue. So maybe the opponent here drops Sylvan Advocate or something of the sorts that we can take care of with the trial. And instead he's doing nothing. Well, I'm going to pick up black. If we get to 5 mana, we are going to have cast the explosive vegetation first. We get to play the Haunted Cloak, which is not bad. And 1 more black, and we can play the Erebos' Titan. Come on, Titan. He's going to be indestructible. Titan. He's no longer indestructible because the opponent has a creature. Cannot attack or block alone. Right, we're going to do this. This is, unless the opponent has something with haste, we should be okay. Now we are ready to play almost all of our cards except the Boneweaver Giant, which requires 1 additional land. Now this does not have haste, which is good. Well, you cannot attack alone. This is not possible, right? Okay, that's what I expected. Right, so with this we get a land in hand, which would allow us to drop the Titan or the Trial of Ambition. I think we go with this, but try to tap properly. Running 4 colors makes the mana tapping pretty cumbersome in the deck. So look at this, the game wants to tap 1. Okay, that's the way. The game wanted to tap down 1 of these swamps. Okay, there we go. There we go. Can drop a forest and proceed with the Titan. And okay, of course the opponent could attack us with the Scrapyard Mongrel if he puts some artifact on the board. He gains +2/+0. This is a cute hound. Maybe I should do a hound deck. Fire conclusion on you, which you are not indestructible. Oh boy. You were not indestructible! Damn it! Why? No, the Titan! Alright, anyways, there's one less fire conclusion towards us, and the opponent seems to be going for sacrifices. Some sort of token should be expected. I could use the... I think we are going to do the trial, clear the coast. And the giant has trample on his own. Let's play this. Tap down the haunted cloak for the sake of doing the improvise, but we get to equip the haunted cloak. Maybe the opponent kills the giant here, but he's going to have trample and vigilance, and he already had haste. There we are. Now we have the advantage, I believe. We have more mana, more creatures, and this is going to grant haste to our Boneweaver Giant. The opponent has more cards in hand. This is scary if he pulls out some large haste creature. So let's drop this one. We're going to give the guy haste and vigilance, of course. So this already had haste and trample. Yeah, this is great. Dealing 8 to the opponent. So far so good, and he better have something really cool up there or he's dead next turn. Not to mention that we are going to be able to drop a very large giant that can bounce the Trial of Ambition back to our hand if we want to. And Birthing Hulk, which comes with accompanying colorless Eldrazi Scion tokens that the opponent can sacrifice, and he will. Yeah, this is not too useful for the opponent. Okay, let's do the giant. We're not going to have the mana for replaying the Trial of Ambition, but we can equip our Boneweaver Giant anyways. So do the library. This kills our giant, or we can do this, or do the cartouche and destroy one of the tokens. I think this is better, and we attack. The opponent has to block. Probably he blocks this one. This guy has menace, so if he wants to block this, he needs to put both in front of this. No, you cannot, and besides they have trample. This blocking is not too useful. So goodbye Birthing Hulk, and goodbye the Wakeward Giant, but I think we are good. We have Trial of Ambition in hand. We have the Boneweaver with lifelink. Well, alright. And I don't think you are attacking Eldritch Evolution. What is the opponent doing with that over a token? Well, this is a very good one. A 2 mana 5/5. The problem for the opponent is this card that we have in hand. So he now has to sacrifice one of these two. And we are going to kill him no matter what. But just to show the opponent our deck. Swing with 3 creatures. Even if we didn't have the trial, we still got the opponent. There we go. So, pretty interesting deck the opponent was trying to use. I'm not too sure about the Fiery Conclusion. Looks like some sort of tokens deck, but I don't know. It was weird. And I guess we are approaching, this should be our final game of this deck. Do you like the deck? I think it is amusing. It has its qualities, its qualities, some upsides, let's say. But of course, this is not the best deck out. In previous games, I've lost by keeping this time of hands. Let's draw something new. A bit better, almost identical to the former hand, but we get to... Well, we have 3 colors and we get to play this Stoneforge Masterwork. Opponent going with zombies again. Drop this one. So I like this Crypt Breaker. I believe that this card is incredibly powerful. It lets you discard cards. That is very useful in many decks. It lets you make zombie tokens and also lets you draw cards. But this the combination of these 2 cards lets me to believe that the opponent is willingly trying to discard as much cards as he can. And this is going to kill our first giant. That's a pity. Unless, of course, we find the appetite for the unnatural before. Okay, Cinderglade, off you go. I think that we are facing an opponent that is going to try to revive some revival of some cards from the graveyard. Digraph Colossus. Lucky for us, this was cast without zombies in the graveyard, which I think this is a bad choice from the opponent. Well, this is not looking great. Let's pick up the black mana already. Just in case, we have the green for the Colossus covered with these 2. We have black for the cartouche, but I don't know if we are going to play any card today. Stitched Mangler, which does nothing for the opponent. Yeah. We take 3 more. The opponent should try to draw more cards, I believe. Well, we've done nothing for 4 turns. The opponent can easily kill us now. Even if the next creature we play, the opponent is going to kill, and then we take 7 more damage, or he has 4 mana open. Well, we can't play nothing and the game knows it. Let's scoop this up. Yeah. The 3, 2, 1. Okay, dear viewers, I think that this is going to be the final game. The deck is fun, but not too consistent. Sometimes we get a very good hand that lets us draw and find our cards fast, but many times we are stuck with a hand like this. We play first, and we have the draw, but we don't have the land. If only we had one more land. Well, this is going to have to do it. Brrr. If we find a forest, we are going to have a very nice start. If we don't, we are going to lose the game, basically. That's the inconsistency of this deck. Please forest. Please forest. Jam. Forest. Thank you deck, I love you. Well, still we are going to have to wait, but turn 4 either this giant or this other giant. I like the Outland Colossus if the opponent is not running destroy effect. Yeah, the Outland Colossus with the Giant Spectacle, it becomes unblockable, which is 3 attacks we win the game. Mountain, it says Pilgrimage, Forest. Now, only thing here is that the opponent could kill the Outland Colossus. If he has a removal, he could have Murderous Compulsion, is quite likely, or plain out Murder. Those cards could kill the Colossus, but after the Colossus we are going to have the Wayward Giant, and maybe we draw something cool too. Let's see. Let's not jump into conclusions. And yeah, this is not bad. Let's draw Plains, Outland Colossus. Hope the Colossus survives. The opponent must now leave up some blocker. The opponent having the Ruthless Sniper probably points towards some form of strong discard style of deck. I don't expect him to be running Murder and all of those. Ulamog! Oh boy. He discarded Ulamog, so he wants to respawn Ulamog from the graveyard. So we have to hurry. We're going to use Giant Spectacle, make our Outland Colossus unblockable. Probably we equip it with the Masterwork too, since we are not going to be having spare mana to play the other giants. He also has Kozilek. Whoa. And now our poor Outland Colossus is so small. 4/4. It's so small. Alright. That is nice. That is very nice. So goodbye, one of these. I'm guessing he's going to sacrifice the Vampire Knight. No, he let up the Vampire Knight. Let's put this on. Now let's equip this and swing for 6, get the renown. No, you are not going to be able to block the Colossus because he has a very weird text. La 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 la. Still, the opponent can maybe make these 2 vampires stronger and swing for a lot of damage. Last time I tried vampire deck, I didn't had too much luck. Yeah, no, this is unblockable. You cannot do that. Yeah, this is not a vampire deck. It just happens to run some vampires. Okay, admittedly, this interaction between menace and can't be blocked by more than one. It is pretty difficult to handle. Maybe I should do a deck just around that. And 2 more swings with the Outland Colossus. If we find... what can we find here? We need maybe... if we drop another giant, the Colossus gains another point of damage, but it's not going to be enough to kill the opponent. And he's going to gain 2 more life now. So we still need to swing 2 more times. Of course, the opponent theoretically could pull out Yulamog from the graveyard and kill us. That is a possibility. Another trial, not bad. Let's attack with this. Okay, here I could use the trial to kill one of the tokens, but I don't think it's going to matter. But if the opponent somehow brings back Yulamog and gives haste to Yulamog, we don't want to take 10 damage to the face. So we're going to keep out, and of course we still could be meeting some removal. This is not the deck I first thought. So the opponent could run some other removal. No damage based removal is bad for us. Call the Bloodline. This is a nice one in the Vampires deck. Block just in case. This is pretty suspicious. Okay, I think we cut kills this, but does not matter. Yeah. 3, 5, 4. Okay guys, we end the game against the AI. This deck is not very good, please do not play it, or at least do something different with the deck. Yeah, but I had my fun. I hope you have enjoyed the games I've shown you, and well, we'll be meeting. There are not many tribes remaining that I want to explore in the game. There are, of course, the popular tribes, but the less visited tribes are not shining in duels, but I don't think we have enough representatives, such as the pirates or maybe the fairies, but still we have something to try out. But until next time, sayonara!